to speak more on the global inflation report, I have with me in the studio Paul Alaji, an economist. Mr. Alaji, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you so very much for having me.
All right, U.S. inflation for June 2022 came in high, 9.1, Nigeria 18.6. This is quite high. What is happening to global inflation trends?
Well, I think the globe is still yet to recover from the impact of COVID. Okay. And after COVID, we saw the Russian-Ukraine war, two major producers around the world. And even though they are both in Eastern Europe, their impact is highly felt in Africa and in the rest of the world. For instance, most of the gas consumed in Germany come from Russia. So there is no way we can disconnect ourselves. The time for disconnection is too short. And we have also seen how the global giant has responded to Russia by trying to excommunicate Russian economy from the rest of the world. It had implication and we are all paying for it. For instance, significant proportion of import of wheat into Africa, especially Nigeria, come from that part of the world. And because it's not the scarcity, of course, we come on board. We have our local issues, no doubt, but when it comes to global arena, because of exogenous factors that we cannot control, they continue to have impact on inflation. And it's not just Nigeria, it affects virtually everyone. But the most significant one for Africa, and more importantly for Nigeria, is cost of energy. The two of us are in this studio today, and those that are watching us around the world are here because of energy. Energy as human. Now, in our homes, what was the cost of energy 2 years ago? For gas, what was the cost of energy in the factory? Because cost of energy increases, then cost of production certainly would increase, and that is why you are seeing high inflation all around the world, especially in our country.
All right, US, Russia, and other developed countries are actually having it tough with this increase. What is this in it for Nigeria, and how are these numbers affecting us?
Well, the numbers are affecting us, first of all, because Nigeria economy is highly dependent. We have crude oil in large supply in terms of what is beneath our feet, but one way or the other, we've not been able to refine using our brains to convert the natural resources to what we can put directly in our vehicle. We have to export, and when we import, if any issue happens to the economy that we're exporting to, we're going to be importing inflation from those countries back to our country. And when you look at the report from National Bureau of Statistics, one of the components responsible for high collection or high consumption of our foreign exchange is the import of crude oil. Import of refined oil, I beg your pardon. We make a lot from crude oil on one hand, we give it away in the other hand. So when there are issues happening around energy, because our economy is not completely independent, it's still dependent largely because we consume a lot from around the world. So there are large impact on us. What is the implication on Nigeria economy, or what is implication is we are already seeing cost push inflation, because how much was diesel in January and December is about 300. Today the price of diesel is over 800 per liter. So the impact is tremendous. You are going to see it in the cost of rice. For those, thank God central bank has made policy regarding to boost grain within the country. If not, bag of rice should have been 45,000-50,000 naira. But because you have grain supply which is relatively steady, what you have to deal with is the cost of transport from maybe Kebbi or Adamawa to anywhere they are producing on one hand, and the cost of energizing your factory, which is another major factor. So energy is a big conversation apart from the traditional concerns that we have in security. But what seems to be different from what we have had, what drove inflation back, it went back to 13-12%. Now it's back in 18%. And 5 years, the highest in the last 5 years, apart from what we had around 2017, I think 18.71%. This is now the highest to that in recent time.
9.1 high, 18.6 very high as well. If we consider these peculiarities, what should be the way out?
A lot of things should be the way out. Number one, we need to do something about the currency naira. I think our government needs to fight from all sides, and this will not just be what central bank is doing. We see central bank started increasing interest rate in the monetary policy committee, but this goes beyond demand pull. We are now having cost push, so government needs to do something. We have 4 refineries. We have been trying to turn them around. They are not responding. How do we bring private sector to partner with government? Maybe government maybe 50% or 60% to private sector, so that private sector, we want to make profits, but in making profit you must have output. As we speak, we are having zero output from 4 refineries, one in Kaduna, remaining 3 in Niger Delta. We need to have output so that we can reduce our import bill, exchange rate will be, we have some level of, we have leverage in that regard. Again, for imports, it will not also be that anytime we are not able to import as at when the subsidy conversation, subsidy may go up about 4 trillion naira from 8 trillion naira will be generating revenue. The remaining 4 trillion, significant part will go in service debt. So we have a lot of issues. And when president is saying that Nigeria concerns is beyond politics, he knew what he's talking about. Economy is not stupid, and it's a real conversation we need to talk about. So we need to find ways to also redominate naira. I think the value of naira is more or less becoming embarrassing at over 400 naira. This last quarter has been the quarter where naira devalued the most. And you go to parallel market, not even 600, 615. If we redominate, everybody that has naira may be practicing, waiting for election. So they have to bring the money out because they will not be valid anymore. Right. And I believe the president can do it.
Mr. Paul, we'll have better, longer platforms to talk about this, but I want to thank you so much for coming on the news. Thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.